This is Ken Pyle. We're at the NTCA annual meeting here in San Francisco, California with Gary Johnson. Gary, Paul Bunyan Communications just had a huge announcement last Thursday. Why don't you tell us about that?
We did, yeah. Thanks, Ken. Last Thursday, we've we've been building for this day for, I'd say, 10, 12 years in investing in fiber and going all fiber optic. But now we're really going to take advantage of it, fully leverage the capability. And what we announced was a 5,000 square mile gigabit network, probably one of the largest of its kind, coming to north central Minnesota.
And it is huge because it not only covers the urban area, if Bemidji is considered urban, but it covers really that whole 5,000 square mile rural area, including the headwaters of the Mississippi, right?
That's our intent, absolutely. Currently, between our incumbent areas, our ILEC areas, and our CLEC areas, we are about 5,000 square miles, and we are announcing the whole area will be gigabit in time.
One of the things that makes this unique, it's one of the first, maybe the first offering by an operator such as yourself that is broadband first.
That could be. I can't speak for everybody else, and I know lots of my peers, we're all doing the same kind of good work, and there's fiber everywhere, so you're going to see a lot of these types of announcements. But yeah, one of the big changes for us, and it really represents a cultural shift for who we are, is doing a broadband only. I mean, everything in our GigaZone, as we're calling it, is built upon broadband. You select what speed you want and then build upon those speeds of broadband with other optional services. So even voice is now an optional service within our GigaZone project.
And it's also a very simple price, right? A very flat rate and very affordable.
Yeah, we tried to make it simple and clear, and we've been all along for years been aggressively bundling everything, and that has served us well. But I think we're taking a little bit different tack now, and again, building upon the broadband fundamental purchase. On top of that, it's optional services, very clean. You can add things, so it's just incrementally. Customers now can really build their own bundle.
We're looking at $100 for a gigabit of service, $60 for 250 megabits. It's very affordable.
That's right. We didn't want it to be a huge leap in price either, because what good does it do to offer this new service and leverage this broadband network, offer gigabit essentially, if it's for exponentially more dollars? That isn't affordable. I mean, you will have accomplished a service, but you're not really making it reachable for people. So with that in mind, we really made it just a transition from our current pricing to the new gigabit speeds. You're right.
And from a legacy standpoint, if you're a customer that's already there, do you have the choice to go back to the new service or go to the new service, stay with your old one? What do you do?
Yeah, if you're in the GigaZone, you will have the option of our current prices and bundles and opportunities that we've been serving, which have been pretty aggressive really in terms of speed and pricing and capability. But now you can alternatively select from our GigaZone set of offerings, which, as you say, is a very clean, simple, and all built upon those tremendous broadband speeds.
You've expanded from something like 10,000 to 25,000 subscribers, but you were mentioning offline how you see this as an opportunity to help those people who maybe don't want a phone line, but they want to have a broadband service and they haven't necessarily chosen you yet.
Yeah, that's right. I think we're seeing in our industry, no surprise, that people are, perhaps some people are less interested in that local voice service. They have other options, but the broadband is key. We have traditionally, up until this point, required telephone service in all of our areas, and now this is a departure from that, where you can buy broadband standalone, and very fast broadband, obviously. And you're right, we have had a history of being pretty aggressive on the expansion front. 5,000 square miles certainly contains a lot of CLEC areas where we physically have built our fiber network out to. So, and I would hope that we'll do that. We'll continue to expand. I mean, we're kind of built to grow. So there's a lot of unserved areas yet to be served, and I would hope that we can grow the GigaZone to include those areas as well in time.
One of the things, in Washington, D.C. and in the states and so forth, the idea of funding universal broadband in these hard-to-reach areas like yours, there's a lot of uncertainty still. And I know, each rural area is unique, and it's a real challenge for how do they get this broadband out there, and how do they pay for it, because it doesn't pay for itself in a lot of cases. So, what's your magic solution there with this GigaZone? Is there one?
That's a great question. Yeah, the last thing I want to imply is that this is easy or that this can just happen. But in fact, we're truly taking a leap here. We're taking a leap of faith that the FCC will get it right in terms of moving universal service away from legacy voice to a broadband future. We're going out here and doing these types of things, sort of assuming they're going to get that right, and very dependent on them to get this right. And also, there are grant programs both federally and locally. There's different types of initiatives out there. all are very important, and certainly wouldn't want to imply because we've announced this that none of that matters anymore. Far from it. In fact, we are dependent on things like grant programs and some of these state initiatives to be able to continue to grow, continue to get our GigaZone gigabit network out there to unserved areas, and certainly federally, the FCC getting a movement to broadband universal service is key in us being able to both sustain what we're trying to do with this GigaZone network and allow us to continue to grow it.
You've seen a lot of good things having deep fiber in your network already with economic development. How do you envision this will continue that expansion?
Well, I think that's a key part of why we're even doing this in the first place. We work really close with our local economic development agencies and officials. In fact, right in our mission statement, it says we are to play a key role in local economic development activities. So with that as kind of our DNA, we've really worked with those people to now leverage this new speed. And they are very excited. They are very excited what this means for attracting business or new startups in our region. So yeah, that's pretty exciting, but we are very much working in tandem with those efforts in our region.
Well, and this is probably worthy of another interview in of itself, but you also work closely of a joint company with the local electric cooperative too. That's another element, it seems, to both fast construction and just advancing the economic development.
You're right. A very visible part of what we're doing right now is finishing our broadband build out, and the construction company is called Cooperative Development. And you're right, it's a great partnership we have with our local electric utility cooperative called Beltrami Electric. We are 50-50 owners in cooperative development, and boy, it's interesting because they're very invested in what we're doing. They're very excited about what we're doing. It's not just we have a third-party contractor putting this in the ground. I mean, I think they too have kind of a feeling of ownership in this effort, and it shows in terms of the quality of their construction and the efficiency at which we're getting it done. And and it's on a scale now that they're building things that they haven't built in terms of the volumes of fiber, the volumes of interduct they're putting in because of the aggressive build they're doing, and they're really excited about it.
Well, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. You kind of alluded to it, the fact that they're out in the community, and you're wearing your marketing right there. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, we branded this the GigaZone, and it obviously the Giga is speaks for itself in terms of a gigabit network, but the zone I think is key in that it's an area, it's sort of a movement. It's as it grows, are you in the GigaZone yet? And where is the GigaZone at now? So that the sort of geographic feel to zone really is playing into the message we want. And you're right, our contractors, our friends at Co-op Development now have GigaZone logos all over their equipment. So when people drive by in Bemidji and they, instead of just seeing some construction going on, they know now that's fiber optic cable going in the ground. They know that's the gigabit network being expanded through our town. And we've heard that's great for our community. And so that linkage between our construction efforts and our GigaZone branding, I think, is really strong, just from a buy-in, excitement, and creating that anticipation of when the zone gets to them.
Well, Gary, I appreciate the time, and the Bay Area is about 5,000 square miles, so I think Paul Bunyan could start another cooperative out here, couldn't they?
Sure, in the winter, yeah.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Ken.